PSON.
Yes. Yeah. And we're meeting at TGI Fridays in Oak Park.
Oh, okay.
TGI Fridays in Oak Park. They're about to call me up, okay?
Okay. We talk. Okay.
All right, brother.
A professional speaker, he specializes in leadership growth and development. He is a member of the Dr. John C. Maxwell Leadership Team. He volunteers to enhance the educational experiences of children in the Chicagoland area. As a volunteer for this organization, he speaks to thousands of students a year, encouraging them to use the IT factor, the IT, their talents, their gifts, their abilities to accomplish it, their dreams, their goals, and aspirations. He is the president and CEO of ET&T Enterprises, Inc. He is the former interim president of the Chicagoland South Suburban chapter of SPA, the Speakers, Publishers, and Authors Association. He is also a member of the Rotary Club of Maywood, Proviso. Our clerk, Viola Sims, is also a member of that. Mims is also a member of that club. Serving as the president-elect this year, and recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow. Mr. Thompson studied at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a Morehouse man. He is the loving father of two phenomenal, cute, dynamic, smart, and energetic young men. He is training them up. The Bible says to train them up in the way that they should go. And when they're older, they won't depart from it. And he is really doing a great job with his boys. As well as a member of Fellowship Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago. He is my brother, my friend, my confidant. He's a person that I call when I'm like, tonight, I'm stressed out about this. Look, sis,
You got it?
Got it. We're good.
Anyway, play time.
That is amazing. Wow. Jeez. I'm going to put her on payroll. That is awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Not going to waste any time. She gave a very brief introduction. I'm just looking forward to this day. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. And I'm very, very excited for this presentation. Just finished giving a leadership workshop for the Bellwood Chamber of Commerce this past Saturday. And I'm just super excited about the wonderful things that are going on. Just signed a contract with one of Chicago Public High Schools to do a month-long leadership workshop with them. And I'm just elated about that. Anyone interested in my services as a keynote speaker, as a leadership trainer, and I also host what are called leadership mastermind groups. Anyone interested, just let's talk about it when I finish. You guys ready to have a good time? When I was a little boy, not this tall, 7 or 8 years old, all of my family, we all took a trip. And we were excited and couldn't wait, highly anticipated taking this particular trip, this journey. All of my cousins, my mom, grandmom, everyone, siblings. And we loved the trip so much that we gave this particular trip a name. We would go for Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas, go again during spring break, and definitely at least once during the summer. And that particular trip when I was a kid, it was called Going Down South. Anybody remember going down south? Well, I don't know about you guys, but down south for me and my family was in Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta. To be exact, my mother is from a town called Clarksdale, Mississippi, where Morgan Freeman is from. And my dad, which is where I spent a good majority of my summers, he's from a town called Marks, Mississippi. Marks, I swear, if you throw a rock, you'll go right through the town. That's how big it is. So Mark sits in between Clarksdale and Ole Miss University in Oxford, Mississippi. Beautiful campus. So look forward to going on the trip. So one particular summer, my dad, he says, son, your grandmother, she really, really misses you. And my mother, she wants you to come down there, and stay the entire summer. Oh, I'm happy. I'm elated. I can't wait. Because there's one beautiful gal down there. Her name is Shauna Faye Benson, and I can't wait to get back to Shauna Faye Benson. So it's summertime, And I get in the car and we go back down south and we get through Memphis and I make it down there with my grandmother and they drop me off and I'm having a remarkable time. And my grandmother, she wakes me up one morning, she says, and I smell the food in the air. It's about 6:15, 7 in the morning. She says, son, I want you to go out to the chicken coop and I want you to go bring in 4 eggs. We didn't have to go to any store to get any eggs. She said, I want you to go to the chicken coop and get 4 eggs. I go out to the chicken coop, reach underneath the chicken, I pulled out 4 large brown eggs. You haven't had any eggs until you have had brown eggs. Bring the eggs inside of the kitchen. My mother, she has the flapjacks going. I think they're pancakes, but she told me they were flapjacks. And she had about 5 or 6 pieces of thick bacon. And she put the eggs in the skillet and she put a little bit of pepper and a little bit of seasoning salt inside of the eggs and scrambled it up. And my God, what a wonderful breakfast. And so just me and my grandmom, that's it. She's sitting in one chair there. I'm sitting in a chair here. And she says, well, son, you've been doing such a wonderful job here on this farm. She says, you've been mowing the grass very well, and our grass was nothing like the grass in the back of your home, okay? It was about half of a pasture. That's what I had to mow. And she says, you've been doing very, very well. You've been feeding the hogs the slop. The hogs are nice and fat, and they're getting ready for the winter just for us. And you've been feeding the chickens for me every day. She says, I want to get you whatever it is you want for dessert. And I said, I can have whatever I want for dessert? She said, yeah, I'm about to start my dinner. Well, back home south, our grandmothers, they started dinner just as soon as they finished breakfast. And my grandmother, you guys remember that, don't you? So my grandmother, she says, you can get anything you want for dessert. I said, well, grandmother, I miss Chicago. I'm from the west side of Chicago, born and raised. 4015 West Van Buren and Pulaski, about a block off of the Eisenhower Expressway. Born and raised. A little town called K-Town is what they call it. Stop that. So I told her we're going to have a good time. I'm telling you, we're going to have a good, Lori, I like these guys, I'm telling you. So I says, I miss it. I haven't been there in about 2 months. It's winding down to August and I miss home. I said, I play with my friends all day long. We play baseball for about an hour. Then we play basketball for about 2 or 3 hours. If there are any firemen, anybody, please forgive me for saying this, but we cut on the fire hydrant and we play with the water sprinkling in the air for hours. And when we're done, everyone goes to my house and we sit on the porch and we wait for a sound. And there's a sound in the air that we're waiting on. And we're waiting on the ice cream truck. I said, grandmother, I would love some ice cream. She says, well, do you want any old kind of ice cream? Do you want some sure enough good ice cream? I said, mother, I would like some sure enough good ice cream. So she left the table. She went back into her room. And she came out, she didn't have her house coat on anymore or her house shoes. She had on a light jacket even though it was 99.5 degrees. And she had on her shoes and we got in the brown bomber. I called it the brown bomber because it had rust stains all down the right side. And dents, don't do that, and had dents on it too. And I said, well, where are we going? She says, well, son, if you want some sure enough good ice cream, I can't get that at a store. Grandmother dear is going to have to make you some homemade ice cream. I said, well, what are you talking about, make ice cream? Just go get me some vanilla ice cream in the quart right there, or get me some chocolate ice cream, and that's fine, it's good enough for me. She says, son, if you want it to be phenomenal, grandmother's gonna have to make it for you. And in order to make the ice cream, there are some necessary ingredients, some necessary components that are needed in order to make this ice cream. We hop in the brown bomber, we go down the dirt road, as you guys can figure it out now, I'm in the country, I'm not in town. Get down the dirt road, we head to the main highway. And then we make it to a store. And this particular store was called Piggly Wiggly. I love it when I can relate. I love it. The store was called Piggly Wiggly. That's the name of the store. So we get inside of Piggly Wiggly. Grandmother says, I want you to get that cart right there. And I want you to get me another dozen of eggs because you ate them all up at home. I need you to get me a container of salt. I need you to get the ice cream mix. You can't make ice cream, sir, without the box of ice cream mix. I need you to get me a little container of vanilla extract that puts some showed up good flavor to it. And I need for you to get me a bag of ice. I said, what do we need ice for? Well, in order to make the transition from a liquid to a cream, you're going to need the ice, and you'll see in a moment. So we get all of the ingredients. We hop back in the car. We're driving down the highway, and I'm sitting in the back seat. And I notice a car approaching us in her rear view. And I'm looking at it, and it's the yellow bomber. And I know who's in that car. That's Miss Benson's car. And the yellow bomber comes up beside us. And I duck down because I don't want Shauna Faye to see me in this raggedy car. And the car comes right up on us, and my grandmother, she looks back at me. She said, boy, sit up back there. That girl ain't studying you. And so I sit up because I respect my grandmama. And I sit up, and the car comes beside me, and Shauna Faye's older sister, she looks over at my grandmother. She says, well, hi there, Miss Thompson. I'll be out there to see you one day this week. And she was driving, Miss Benson was driving every bit of 5 miles an hour because my grandmother was driving about 2.5 miles an hour. And back then, people just respected their elders. And so we made it on back to the country, in the home. And my grandmother passed up the deep freezer. And then she went in her closet. And she went, and first before she went in the closet, she got up all of her ingredients and she placed them inside of the pot one at a time. She says, yeah, you're going to need this. This is going to give you that particular taste. And yes, you're going to need this. This is going to give you that particular taste. And she whipped it all up together. And she worked and she worked and she worked. And she let it simmer for a while. And then she went on into that closet and she came out with a box. And then she set this thing out in that box and set it on a table. And it looked something like this right here. You guys remember this, huh? And she set it down and she got the ingredients from the pot and she poured it inside of a container that sits inside of this thing. It looked something like, you guys remember this, don't you? Yeah. You remember this too, don't you? Yeah. And so my grandmother, she poured all the contents inside of that container and she says, well, son, I've done all of my work. I've given you the tools. I've given you the components that you need in order to produce something phenomenal. Now it's your job to put some work behind what it is that I've given you so that you can produce what it is that you're looking for. I says, well, who has to do some work? I've been working all week long. You still got to do some more work if you want to accomplish a great level. And so she says, I want you didn't have this thing here. No, we didn't have nothing like this. No, we didn't. We didn't plug anything into an electrical socket. I wish we did have something like this in 1982. And she poured all the contents inside, and she said, son, you're going to put the ice around this container and in between this container, and you're going to turn. And you're going to turn, son. And as you're turning, things are going to change for you. You're going to go from that liquid to the ice cream that you want so badly. And so I started turning like my grandmother insisted that I do. And I turned. And boy, I started turning some more. And my right arm started to hurt a little bit. But I didn't want my grandmother to see me sweating at all. I'm a country boy. That didn't matter. That arm started hurting a little bit. And so as soon as she turned her head, I switched arms on it. And I turned some more. I was laughing too. And I turned some more. And my grandmother said, well, I'm going to take a seat in my room. She went to go watch All My Children and One Life to Live. It came on in that order. I watched it too. And I kept turning. And I said, grandmother, is the ice cream almost ready? She said, baby, it ain't quite ready yet. Just keep on turning. And I said, yes, ma'am. And boy, I'm sweating profusely at this time, but I keep turning. I say, Granny, is it ready yet? She says, son, it's not quite ready. You have to keep on turning. I'll tell you when it's ready. I've switched arms about 3 or 4 times, and I'm about to fall out. And as I was about to pass out, and it got more and more hard to turn this thing, I heard my grandmother, she hollered out. She says, baby, it's ready. And she came into the kitchen, and she took the top off of this thing. And she says, yeah, it's ready. And I looked at it, I said, wow. That went from a liquid form, that's about ice cream there. And she said, it's yours. I said, it's all mine? She says, it's all yours. Well, I took this thing out and it was dripping with ice cream. And I didn't have any friends, any cousins around with me, so it was all mine. I said, can Can I eat it how I want to eat it, Grandma? She says, yes. So I got these 2 fingers. Don't let your kids do this. I got these 2 fingers, and I said, my God, I have never tasted anything like that to this day. And I still have another grandmother living, and you better not tell her either. Everyone, I learned a valuable lesson at that early age. I learned that if there is something that you want to obtain bad enough, there are necessary components that are needed in order to obtain that objective. And even when you get those components, those ingredients, you still have to put a lot of work behind those things in order to reach a desired outcome. So what am I talking about today? I'm talking about my favorite subject matter. As a member of Dr. John C. Maxwell's leadership team, I love speaking about leadership growth, personal development. Dr. John Maxwell is the leading leadership guru in all of the world. And it is an honor to just listen and to learn from him and his program. So when I speak about leadership, I like to talk about ingredients that are needed in order to reach a certain objective. There are 2 ingredients we want to talk about for time's sake today. First ingredient, let's take a look at it. Ingredient number 1, here it is. An overflow of good character. You're going to need a lot of this. You're going to need so much of this. There's no way you can go to the store and get 1 container of this stuff called good character plus integrity. Mix it all up in one. Piggly Wiggly does not sell the amount of this that you're going to need. You've got to get this from a different source because you're going to need what is called a lifetime supply of good character and integrity. Character and integrity equals trust. And that is called the law of solid ground. Character plus integrity is the foundation of leadership. Let's take a look at this thing called character and integrity. Yeah, I told you we were going to have a good time. We're going to have a really good time. Lori knew who she was calling today. I'm telling you. Integrity plus character equals trust. Integrity is the most important ingredient of leadership. It is the quality of being honest, having strong moral values. Integrity is not this. It is not divided loyalties, deceitful in speech. That is called duplicity. It is not pretending or claiming to have moral standards and beliefs which one's own behavior does not conform. That is called hypocrisy. Integrity is a whole person, one having a single aim or purpose, dedicated, single-mindedness. That's what integrity and what character is. We're so busy and we're so focused on being the right type of person. You know what, about a few years ago, I feel bad for saying that, but a few years ago, I just made a commitment to stop even telling these things called small lies. They just get you in trouble because when you tell one small one, you have to come back with another small one at some point down the line to cover up for that first itty bitty small one that you told in the first place. So I was trying to take care of some business, and a real good friend of mine said, "What? Why did you tell them that?" I said, "Well, I told them that because that is the truth. And there's no sense in me telling that itty bitty small lie because it's going to catch up with me in the long run." Anybody can stop telling the big old lies. It takes a lot of intentionality, intentional living, and discipline to make sure that we're not telling these small, itty bitty ones. That's one way that we can work on our character and our integrity. Well, we like to measure these things. You have to be able to measure results. So this is what I want you to do when you go home. Find 5 people who are closest to you. Your loved one, your spouse, not your kids. Your girlfriends, one of your girlfriends, one of your colleagues, somebody who is a superior, your boss, or somebody who is following you, about 5 people. First thing I want you to do is, I want you to ask yourself to figure out on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest score, 10 being the highest score, I want you to say, where do I rate from a character standpoint from 1 to 10? You might feel good. Your chest might stand down. You might say, I'm about an 8. I'm a good solid 8.5, to be honest with you. But after you judge yourself, go to those 5 people and sit down with them and have a conversation with them. Say, hey, I want to grow. I'm working on personal growth. If you could do me a favor, I want you to be able to tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 the highest, 1 the lowest, where would you rate me as a person of good character, as a person of integrity? And you might be surprised. And if those numbers don't match up, give yourself 30 to 60 days and work on your character and work on your integrity. And that's how you can measure your results and see how you are elevating and becoming a better person of character and a better person of integrity. Hey, this thing called integrity and character. One of these days, I'm going to build a home. I'm telling you, one of these days, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get some things together. I'm going to build a home. When I build this home, I don't want the architect. I don't want the general contractor to have to give me a call, because I've already called the in-laws. I've called my brothers and my sisters and cousins, and the home is halfway built. What suburbs? Where are the most beautiful homes in the south suburbs, and then the most beautiful homes in the southwest suburbs? Can somebody from the south suburbs tell me where those homes might be? Or one of the towns where some of those homes might be? Somebody? Burr Ridge. What did you say? Olympia Fields. Okay, picture you've got this home and it's halfway built in Olympia Fields in Burr Ridge. It's halfway built and you've got everybody coming over to see what you have halfway built. And you get the call from the GC, the general contractor, and he says, I am so sorry to tell you this, but we are going to have to tear the home down. And you go ballistic. Well, why do you have to tear it down? We're halfway there. And he says to me, he says, sir, if we don't tear this thing down now because of this reason, because your foundation is not in order. And if we don't tear this thing down right now, the right type of wind or the right type of bad person will come along and tear down everything that you've built up. I'm about to throw something in your lap and I want you to catch it and keep it. We're talented and we're gifted. God gave me an amazing gift, and I wake up every morning at about 4 or 5 o'clock and I work on that gift. We are talented and we are gifted, but don't do this. Don't let your talent take you someplace that your character cannot keep you. We don't want to do that. You can clap, sister. You can clap. Yeah. We don't want to do that. You're going to fall down, and it won't be a graceful fall. And you're going to come down, and you're going to meet those people who you were looking down at when you were going up. And some of them might laugh at you, and some of them might not laugh at you, but it's going to be a really, really bad fall coming down. But if your character is in order, you can get back up again, and you can get back up and reach remarkable heights. Does anybody believe that? Give me a hand. There we go. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going. Are we having a good time? Let's keep going. Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers of all time, he's noted as saying that the key to greatness is to be in reality what we appear to be. Too often we try to be a human doing instead of a human being. Don't get caught in the rat race. Your clerks, your deputy clerks, we can get real, your mothers most importantly. And we can get really, really busy just doing things. But don't forget, first of all, we are human beings instead of humans doing. What people hear, they understand. What they see, they believe. My son, he wanted to work out so bad getting ready for the basketball season. I said, come on, we're going right across the street to Marquette Park. Dad's going to get you in shape. It's a great thing. People need to be healthy. You're right. He got through with about 50 push-ups, got to 49, 48. I said, good job. He did about 50 sit-ups. I said, good job. And then he looked over at me and said, Dad, I thought you said it was great to be healthy. Why aren't you doing the same thing? And they are looking at what you do more than they are listening to what you are saying. You believe that, don't you? Let's keep going. Why is integrity important? It builds trust. It results in a solid reputation, not just an image. Integrity means living it myself before leading others to it. Integrity helps a leader be credible and not clever. Don't get too slick for your own self. Don't do that. Integrity is a hard-won achievement. This thing will not be easy. It is a daily job working on your integrity and your character. It is more important than the work you are doing for your municipality. Let's keep going. Second law. And all of these laws, this is the last law. All of these laws come from this particular resource book here. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, written by Dr. John C. Maxwell. As you can see, this is pretty much my second Bible. If you want to buy me something, do not buy me another one of these. I go back to this thing at least 2 or 3 times a week. It helps me to make decisions. There's a chapter in here called problem solving, the law of problem solving. Problem solving is the quickest way to leadership, and it gives a 10-point plan on how to solve problems. You line those bad babies up one at a time, and it teaches you how to solve those problems. And 9 times out of 10, this source has been correct for solving problems. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, this is one of the 2 books that I teach my mastermind groups out of. So we're going to move on to the second and final law for the day. Law number 2, the law of influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Are you a person of influence with other people? What are you doing to be a person of influence with other people? How do we become a person of influence with other people? Here is the key, about 4 or 5 points, but here's number 1. Valuing what other people value. How do we value? And listen, talk to people, talk to your staff, find out what it is that they are aspiring to do. What are their hopes? What are their aspirations? I hope they don't say, I want your job. What are their hopes? What are their aspirations? What are their dreams? And you have to be able to relate to them. As you are talking to your staff at that moment, you are doing something that is profound. It's called connecting. Connecting allows you to become a person of influence with another person. Not only are you listening to what it is that person values, but you in turn sometimes have to have something of value to give back to that person. And most of the time, it's not even money or material things. How can you help a person be better? You see the stress on her face. She's having a rough day. Is everything all right at home? No, Johnny is really, really giving me a hard time. He's messing up a little bit at school. I'm stressed out. She's overworked. She's overwhelmed. Listen, about an hour, hour and a half, you get off of work. I got it. Go home. I got this. I'm going to take care of it. She values her time with her son to build her relationship better, to build a better relationship with her son. You in turn are valuing what it is that she values. You are becoming a person of influence with her through connecting. That's what you're doing. A member of our club, Rotary Club of Maywood Proviso, remarkable club. I can't wait to see one of you guys there one day. Who's from Berwyn? Anybody from Berwyn in here? Nobody from Berwyn? Anyhow, I have a business in Berwyn. That's why I was asking. He left already? Okay. So I have a business in Berwyn. That's why I was asking. So one of the members at the Maywood Club, she came over to me and she told me, because she knew that I was in a position to help out. She says, I would really love to be on a certain committee. And it came time, I would really love to do that, Talay. And she says, I can really do a pretty good job with that committee. And so it came time for us to select a person to be in charge of that committee. And they selected someone outside of the young lady. But that's okay. We're going to place the young lady on the committee so that she can help out. But I know what her dream is. I know what she aspires to do. She wants to chair this committee. And so as the president-elect, I can appoint, that's one of my jobs, appoint someone to a particular committee. So I talk to her. I say, hey, do you have any experience in this area? She says, yay, yes, I do. I'm a member of a remarkable sorority. And they had me over that particular committee in my sorority for about four or 5 years. And I did a pretty good job. She's competent. She has the ability to do so. She has the passion to do a remarkable job. So I know that I can count on her to do a remarkable job. So when it comes time for me to appoint or ask my board if we can go ahead and appoint this young lady, I say, hey, I nominate that this particular person is the committee chair for this particular committee. We all voted on it a yay because I'm a person of influence even on my board, because I just like to treat people right. When you treat people right, good things come back to you in return. Am I right about it? Come on. She knows that. That's my board member. When you treat people right, they'll leave Maywood and come all the way out to Prairie State College to hang out with you a little bit. Just treat people right and good things happen back to you in return. So I was able to help that young lady out. And I noticed that she has areas where she's a little not as strong. She's not as strong as she could be. But that particular area that she's not as strong at, I'm very strong in that area. And there's some areas in my life that I'm not strong at. But I've been watching that sister. She is very strong in that area. I help her. She helps me. I become a person of influence with her. She becomes a person of influence with me. And we help each other to move forward. Does that make sense? Makes all the sense in the world. Hey. The law of influence. Influence is the power to cause without directly forcing it to happen. Without directly forcing it to happen. I don't have to be at my meeting right now. My meeting is flowing smoothly. I'm here with you guys having a remarkable time. And so is the clerk of Maywood and Ms. Viola Mims. We're here. We missed our meeting today. To be here with you guys. The meeting was at 12 o'clock. Still going on. No, it's over with now. But I don't have to be there. I can still cause things to happen as a person of influence without me even being there, because I've studied and shown myself approved, because I've worked at it. I've done some good deeds. I've treated people right. So I can get a phone call and they'll say something like, well, what do you think about this? You know what I think about that, and handle it. And things are happening without me even having to be there. That's what influence is. Let's keep going. Myths of leadership. Don't you believe these things for nothing in the world. Here's one myth. Management. Just because a person is a manager, that does not mean that he or she is a leader. A manager is simply someone who maintains a system and a process. That's all a manager is. A leader is someone who comes into that room, in that situation, takes a look at each corner, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the back of him, and sees what is going good. That is going very good. This committee is doing a great job. This is going very well. This committee is doing a great job. We need a little work here. He sees it automatically, and he doesn't simply maintain what is going on. He goes and he makes changes, and he builds, and he makes better. That's what a leader is. That's what a manager does, the opposite. They simply maintain what is going on. Myth number 2, the entrepreneur myth. My father is a remarkable businessman. He's made a lot of money. My dad is not a good leader. That's because you're an entrepreneur. That means that you know how to run a business efficiently. That doesn't equate with you being a remarkable leader. You can run a business efficiently, and all of your employees, they want to get away from you as quickly as possible. Let's keep going. Myth number 3, the knowledge myth. You're not a leader because there's a whole lot of knowledge in the brain. You've got all of these remarkable professors at these very esteemed academic institutions, and they score off the charts from an IQ standpoint, but they couldn't lead a student from the back door to the front door. There are certain qualities that they are lacking in order to do that. And the final myth we have here is the position myth. Yeah, you've been appointed and you've been elected, but now you have to show that you are a remarkable leader. That's because you have attained this particular position doesn't mean that you are a phenomenal leader. He who thinks he is leading and has no followers, he is simply just taking a long walk. And he's taking a walk all by. You do it again. Let me see you do it again. Yes, indeed. He's taking a long walk. We're at the end of our journey here. The 10 factors of leadership. Factor number 1 of influence. Influence. A person of influence has integrity with people. A person of influence nurtures other people. A person of influence has faith in people. I have faith in that young lady who I've appointed to be over that committee. Don't do that stuff called micromanaging. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know the person can do the job because you've already watched this person in action before you've given that person the assignment. So you know that they can do the job. Give them the tools that are needed to get the job done. Trust the work ethic in them that you've seen, and sit back and watch remarkable things happen. That's called having faith in a person. That builds influence. A person of influence listens to people. I'm a guy, and I know you guys say that guys just don't listen. Don't do me like that. And she's right. She's right. We don't listen well a lot of times, especially when Michael Jordan is about to take the last shot of the game. But I study becoming a person of influence. And in Dr. Maxwell's book, Becoming a Person of Influence, there is a chapter dedicated to that, listening. And it teaches you how to listen, not just being in front of someone and nodding your head in agreement, but actually being in the midst of the dialogue and paying attention to what is being said and giving a recap of what that person has just finished saying, and then giving your input on the conversation that the young lady or the person just had with you. That's a person who is engaged in a conversation. That's called listening. I just don't sit there and watch the game and say, sure, honey, yeah, you're right. That's making her believe that I'm listening to her. But I need to be in tune with what that individual is talking about so that we can grow and evolve together, and I can become a person of influence. All right? Let's keep going. A person of influence understands people. A person of influence enlarges people. A person of influence navigates for people. A person of influence connects with people. We discussed that, didn't we? A person of influence empowers people. And last but not least, a person of influence reproduces other people and other leaders. This young lady, she's going to be the president of our club after I'm the president. And this gentleman is going to be president after her. And I'm making sure that everything is flowing smoothly with our relationship, that I'm evolving as a leader, she's evolving as a leader, and he's evolving as a leader. And the buck doesn't stop when I'm not president anymore. The train keeps going, and things keep running smoothly because remarkable leaders are leading the way. Leaders. Individuals who have an uncanny ability to navigate a person or a group of people from a starting point to a finish line. A person who understands the law of process and the benefits of respecting time. Time to develop and time to grow one's skills and one's remarkable vision. Time to master something as important as the law of addition. Time to fully understand what leadership is and what leadership is not, and how far great leadership can take you if you're giving it all that you've got. Value what they value. Impact lives day after day. Serve those who follow you, and do so in a grateful way. Suffocating your potential is this imaginary lid, and the only thing that can lift it is the effort you're willing to put in, the effort to grow your character over and over again. And watch as this lid gradually raises, unleashing the greatness within. Now that we have a foundation of how to get there, to this densely populated place, I hope that we can follow a blueprint, the important steps that should never be skipped. And I can't wait to hang out with all of you guys in the land of leadership. My name is Talay Thompson, and thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hope I didn't bore you ladies too much. Let me go to the restroom. I'll be right back.